Good evening. It is Sunday night, November 15th. It is time to recap Week 10 of the NFL of this edition of the Iman Report. We are going to start off, of course, with the Sunday night game where the New England Patriots upset the Baltimore Ravens 23-17, and this game has to be cause for concern for Baltimore. I don't know if Baltimore is current. I think they're still the 5 seed after tonight's loss, but now they don't have any room for error at 6-3. You've got at 6-3 besides them, you've got the Raiders at 6-3. You've got the Titans at 6-3. You've got the Dolphins at 6-3, and you've got the Browns at 6-3. There is very little room for error for Baltimore, and right now, there is cause for concern for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's teams are starting to get a book on Lamar Jackson on how to stop him from running and make him more of a passer. Jackson's games regressed the last few games. Defenses maybe regressed a bit too. Greg Roman's play calling is starting to get old. Patterns of kind of what I saw with Greg Roman when he was with the 49ers and Jim Harbaugh. So we shall see. Hopefully this is a little bit of this might be a little bit cause for concern for Baltimore. Granted, I don't think the Patriots are a playoff team, but they could play spoiler here down the stretch. They play Buffalo on Monday night, December 28th. If New England's out by then, I think they would certainly love to play spoiler in Foxborough against Buffalo. Belichick's not going to quit on the season. These kids play hard, and Belichick's not going to take mailing it in. New England's not. As I said, I don't think New England is going to be a playoff team. I don't think they are a playoff team, but I do think New England is a team that will play spoiler down the stretch to somebody. We just don't know who yet. Maybe they're going to play spoiler against Baltimore, and that's the way they're going to do it. Next week, the Patriots play the Texans, and then the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets. They could easily win 3 or 4 games here and get to 7-9, 8-8. That's where the Patriots are. Let's see where Baltimore's schedule is going to be the next few weeks. Ravens play the Titans next week. Tennessee, a team that is trending downward. Tannehill starting to struggle a bit in his last few games. So this could be a good opportunity for two teams that are trending down, fighting for a playoff spot, fighting for a wild card spot. Then they get Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving night, Dallas. Then they get Cleveland. If Cleveland is that, I would circle Baltimore and Cleveland on Monday Night Football, December 14th. That could be potentially for a wild card spot right there, but then they finish the season with 2 cupcakes. So there's no reason why I don't think they could go 5-1. But granted, Lamar Jackson's been struggling as of late. Defenses are starting to get a book on Lamar Jackson. So how does John Harbaugh and Greg Roman adjust down the stretch here? In another potential battle for playoff spots here on Thursday Night Football this week, the Indianapolis Colts beat the Tennessee Titans 34-17. Indianapolis now leading the AFC South. The Titans, as of right now, are on the outside looking in. Ryan Tannehill did not look great, and the Colts defense was able to at least hold Derrick Henry in check. Phillip Rivers was able to use his arm on the terrible Titans defense. Michael Pittman Jr., 7 receptions for 101 receiving yards. And all of a sudden, the Colts, Frank Reich and the Colts at 6-3, are on the inside track to the AFC South title. Next week, they do get a tough game against the Green Bay Packers. You know, this might be a game that might favor the Colts. Green Bay is going to Indianapolis. And Green Bay struggles against good defenses. This might be one we'll preview Wednesday night, but I might have an idea who I might be picking in this game. Then after that, the Titans again. The Texans, another potential playoff matchup with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Texans again. And then the Steelers on the 27th. Followed by the series finale against Jacksonville. We are going to find out a lot about the Colts here down the stretch. Tennessee, trending downward. Tannehill needs to get back on track quickly. It's not going to get easy. They play Baltimore, Indianapolis again, Cleveland, Jacksonville, Detroit, Green Bay. They could go 2-4 and really start slipping out of the playoff race if things don't go the right way for the Titans. In a low-scoring playoff game, the Browns beat the Texans 10-7. This was a rainy game. And this was one where Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt went off running the football. Baker Mayfield did not have a good day passing the ball. And it might be time for Cleveland. Yes, Cleveland did win. Yes, Cleveland is 6-3. But Baker has not been great. It might be time for Cleveland to consider making a change to Case Keenum. Case Keenum right now cannot be any worse than Baker Mayfield. Deshaun Watson, 20 for 30 with 1 touchdown. Houston now 2-7. The bad part is they're pretty much gifting the Dolphins a top 5 draft pick at this point. And for the Browns, they need to play better. They can't have these type of bad performances anymore from Baker. Granted, their schedule is favorable as they get Philadelphia, Jacksonville, then 2 toughies against Tennessee and Baltimore, followed by the Giants and the Jets. Probably 4-2 in those 6 games. But I don't know but I kind of think it might be time for Cleveland to go to Case Keenum. In a surprise at MetLife today, the New York Giants, the 3-7 New York Giants beat the 3-5-1 Philadelphia Eagles. And both Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz did not have good games. Jalen Hurts fumbles the football. Carson Wentz had a couple fumbles. Daniel Jones 3 sacks, 0 picks, 21 for 28. Makes me wonder, you know, it might not be time to give up on Daniel Jones just yet for if you're New York. It might be time to maybe go out and get a wide receiver in the draft. Get a stud receiver for Daniel Jones. Could you imagine what Daniel Jones might actually be like if he actually had some weapons around him? Don't give up on Daniel Jones. He's showing something down the stretch. Darius Slayton was the go-to guy today. 5 reception, 93 yards. And for Philadelphia, Carson Wentz, 21 for 37, 108 passing yards, sacked 3 times. You know, this is a game Philadelphia should have not lost. And this might be time. It might really be time to move on from Jim Schwartz this offseason in Philadelphia. I didn't think it would be possible, but now the NFC East just got even trashier today. And also, it could be time for Doug Peterson to... I don't think he's going to get fired. I think Peterson's safe for one more year. But I think his leash is starting to get short. The Super Bowl can only get you so much grace in Philadelphia. At some point, Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman might need to tell Jim Schwartz to go. And also, maybe the Eagles should strongly consider hiring an offensive coordinator next year. Carson Wentz is not getting it done in Philadelphia. They've spent too much money for Carson Wentz to be this mediocre. Do they look to bring in a veteran backup in 2021 in Philadelphia? Time will tell. Maybe not yet time to be drafting a quarterback, but it's time to maybe raise some serious questions about Carson Wentz's future. Along with Doug Peterson. As I said, Peterson's going to be safe for 2021. But I do think it's time for Doug Peterson to surrender play calling duties. In Detroit, in a Lions fashion game, the Lions beat the Washington football team in a last-minute touchdown. Alex Smith, 38 for 55. Don't let Alex Smith throw the ball 55 times. That normally does not win you games. Stafford, 24 for 33, 3 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift almost rushed for 100 yards today for Detroit. Marvin Jones, 96 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. DeAndre Swift, a touchdown. Marvin Hall, a touchdown, so Matthew Stafford definitely spreading the ball around. 4 and 5 for Detroit. Yeah, you know, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, but if they can get to 7 and 9, 8 and 8, maybe Matt Patricia is safe. Washington securing their spot in a top 5 slot in the draft at this point. In Green Bay, a game that ended up being a lot closer than I expected. Green Bay did not cover the spread, only winning by 4 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Aaron Rodgers, 325 passing yards. But Aaron Jones was actually shut down most of the game by Jacksonville. And Jacksonville nearly did play spoiler against Green Bay. Jake Luton, 18 for 35, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But Jacksonville almost pissed away their opportunity at Justin Fields. Almost, but not enough. In a blowout in Carolina, the Buccaneers take out their anger on the Panthers 46-23. Tom Brady gets back on track, takes out his anger on the Carolina defense. Mike Davis was shut down. Teddy Bridgewater was good. Unfortunately, he left the game with a knee injury. MRI pending, so it could be PJ Walker next week for Carolina. Ronald Jones almost rushes for 200 yards today. And for the first half, Carolina kept it close. In the second half, it was all Tampa Bay all the time. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans with a touchdown, Gronk with a touchdown. And 7-3 is a much better state than 6-4 for Tampa Bay. And I think for Carolina, this is one of those losses where it's going to be a learning lesson. We're going to probably find out a lot about PJ Walker, as PJ Walker could be starting next week for Carolina. In Miami, the Dolphins are now 6-3 after beating the LA Chargers 29-21. Tua, another good game out of Tua. Tua is starting to show he is going to be the face of the franchise in Miami. And the Miami defense is just that good. They made Justin Herbert looked like a rookie today. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. LA no match for Miami. And at this point, maybe another game away from Anthony Lynn being unemployed in LA.
At the Home Depot, we improved Black Friday.
Miami currently entrenched in the 7th seed. If the season were to end today, they would play the Kansas City Chiefs. In Las Vegas, the Raiders crushed the Denver Broncos 37-12. And it was all Josh Jacobs all the time. Devontae Booker and Josh Jacobs, double trouble, running the football all over the Denver Broncos. And Drew Lock had a miserable day in Vegas, getting picked off not once, not 2, not 3, but 4 times by the Las Vegas Raiders. Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay were shut down. Not a good day for Drew Lock. The Raiders currently would be the 6th seed if the season were to end today. They would play the Buffalo Bills. In Arizona, the Cardinals beat the Bills on a game-winning Hail Mary by Kyler Murray. And now the Cardinals are 6-3, and the Cardinals find themselves in first place in the NFC West. That's right, the Cardinals would host the LA Rams if the season were to end today. Kenyon Drake, finally a 100 rushing yard game out of Kenyon Drake. He's getting right at the right time. And Josh Allen, not his best game today. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Cardinals were able to shut down the run game of Buffalo. Diggs and Beasley, though, did have a good game for Buffalo. Buffalo falls to 7-3. Buffalo entrenched as the 3 seed as of right now. But this is a big win for the Cardinals, as now they are locked in at this point as the number 3 seed, and they are in first place in the NFC West. In Pittsburgh, the Steelers beat the Bengals 36-10. And Big Ben actually tested negative for COVID-19, started today. 333 yards, 4 touchdowns, as they pretty much slaughtered the Bungles today. And Deontay Johnson, 116 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. Claypool with 2 touchdowns. Juju with a touchdown. Pittsburgh 9-0 keeps that number 1 seed alive. Cincinnati 2-6. At this point, trying to cement their spot in the top 10 pick in the draft to upgrade the defense. In New Orleans, the Saints beat the 49ers 27-13. A game where, for New Orleans, it was not about the win, but it was about how hurt is Drew Brees. Drew Brees leaves the game with a rib injury. But they will probably have some. But they do have a capable backup in Jameis Winston. We shall see how Winston does if Drew Brees has to miss some games. Could be more opportunities for Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. But I don't think, I think it's kind of going to be like Teddy Bridgewater all over again in New Orleans if they have to start, if they do have to go to Deshaun, not Deshaun, God. If they have to go to Jameis Winston for a few weeks, I don't think they're going to miss a beat. Sean Payton will adjust the playbook for Winston. They will be just fine without Drew Brees. You might see more deep balls since Winston can throw the deep ball, unlike Brees. So we shall see how long Drew Brees will be out for the Saints. As for the Niners, the bye week cannot come soon enough for the Niners. And Nick Mullins, this was probably the worst game coaching-wise for Kyle Shanahan, and I think it's time for next year for the Niners to hire an offensive coordinator and strip Kyle Shanahan from play calling. It might benefit Shanahan not to be play calling next year. Bring in an offensive coordinator, have a different set of eyes. But also, none of these 3 quarterbacks should be back starting for the 49ers next year. Maybe you go with Josh Johnson when you get off the bye week. See if Johnson can be a backup next year. But I don't think the quarterback, the bridge quarterback, or the quarterback of the franchise is on this current roster at this point. The defense held its own, but the offense is not good. And today's loss you can blame on Shanahan. That is for sure. And in the last game, the Los Angeles Rams beat the Seattle Seahawks 23-16. Seattle falls from the falls all the way down to the 7 seed in this loss today. This was a very rough game for Russell Wilson. Sacked 6 times. Picked off twice. As the Rams defense had a game plan for Seattle, they were able to rough up Russell Wilson, come off with the win, and Seattle is in a world of trouble. Seattle is 1-3 in their last 4 games. Seattle's defense is horrendous. Seattle is probably going to get bounced in the first round. Jared Goff, 27 for 37, 302 passing yards. Cam Akers, the rushing game was not that great. But Malcolm Brown, 2 touchdowns. Darrell Henderson, a touchdown. But Seattle falls to 3rd place in the NFC West. LA Rams move up to the 6th seed. Seattle, the 7 seed. Sean McVay, a guy who scaled back a bit this year. This is kind of what happens when you scale back. Sean McVay gave up play calling duties this year, and it's paying dividends. Granted, Goff. Granted, Jared Goff did not play against a good defense today, but Goff's looked a lot better this year. The play calling's been much better this year in LA. And I'm curious now. I'm curious to see. Let's see the schedules for the Rams, Cardinals, and Browns coming up, and the Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks. Let's start off with the Cardinals schedule. Cardinals play Seattle Thursday night, New England, LA. Cardinals play LA's twice during the month of December, December 6th and January 3rd. The January 3rd game between the Cardinals and the Rams could be a potential winner-take-all for the NFC West at this point. But other than that, the schedule does not look too terribly bad. They get the Patriots, they get the Giants, the Eagles. So there is at least a window to go 10-6 and 11-5 for the Cardinals. Let's take a look at the Rams schedule. Rams have actually held their own in the last few weeks. Rams get the Buccaneers next Monday night, then the 49ers, then the Cardinals, the Patriots, the Seahawks again in Seattle, the Jets, and then they finish off with the Cardinals. There is at least 3 wins there for the Rams. So at worst, I kind of think the Rams will finish 9-7. Take a look at Seattle's schedule. Seattle plays Arizona, Philadelphia, New York, the New York teams, Washington. So Seattle's not out of the division race. But granted, there's going to be teams that are going to look to play spoiler down the stretch. Especially since Seattle's kryptonite is their defense. They could go 4-3 and finish off around. They could finish around 10-6. That is a real possibility for Seattle. But this is going to be a very interesting 3-horse race down the stretch here in the NFC West. Now, on to if the season were to end today. Starting with the AFC, Pittsburgh would have the bye. Kansas City would play Miami in the first round. Buffalo would play Las Vegas. And we would have Indianapolis against Baltimore. On the NFC side, Green Bay would have the bye. The Saints would play the Seahawks in the first round. The Cardinals would play the Rams. That would be fun. We are going to see the Cardinals and Rams twice in December. That is going to be some fun football coming up. And in the 4-5, it would be, as of right now, whoever is the NFC East winner against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I hope everybody has a great night. Have a good week. We'll be back Wednesday night to preview NFL Week 11 as we are getting to the stretch run towards the NFL playoffs. Have a good